Hey y'all, welcome to my channel, Gardening with Grayson. It is a beautiful day here in North Carolina in growing zones 8A. What I have here with me today is my lion's head fountain. This is a substantial piece and a key element of my garden. It's situated just behind these shrubs just off my stamped concrete patio. As you can see, it's just a little worse for the wear. It doesn't look bad, but it can look better. So I've already pressure washed and cleaned this fountain, and it's dried for a day. So the next step in the process of restoring this is gonna be to prime it. I like primer that has paint and primer in one, and it's just a white. And what that does is it just cleans the slate. It brings any imperfections all back together. This fountain is roughly 5 feet tall by 2 feet wide. So the first thing that I'm gonna be doing is using my Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch. This is the 2 times. It's paint and primer in one. And this is in the color of white and a semi-gloss. Okay y'all, so we have the primer coat on, and as you can see, it has transformed the fountain already. It's just cleaned the slate. You guys, I'm already sweating. It is 7:15 in the morning, and it is hot, humid, and sticky here. So I'm glad that I got up early to get this done. We're gonna go ahead and let this dry for several hours, and then we're gonna come back and I'm gonna give it a top coat, a base color, and then we're gonna go in and begin to detail it. And that's gonna transform this fountain, and so it can continue to shine in my garden. Okay, so the primer has dried for several hours, and now it's time for us to get the base color on, so here we go. So I'm gonna be using the color in Fossil. This is the Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch. This is actually paint plus primer. This is in the satin finish, and again, the color is Fossil. Okay, as you can see, we have the first coat on. This is the base color. Again, that's in the color Fossil. It's gonna be a really nice color on this fountain. It's 94 degrees out here. It is so hot and humid. I'm sweating like crazy. We're gonna let this dry, and then we're gonna start the detailing process. Okay everyone, so the next step in this project is to go ahead and get this fountain detailed. So we're going to be bringing all the detail out in the lion's face and mane. We're going to be bringing out all the cracks and crevices in the wall that surrounds his face. We're going to bring out the detail in the bowl itself and also on the wall below and the finial just under the bowl. So the supplies that I'm going to be using today are a couple of cans of spray paint. This is the Rust-Oleum dial-in spray. This has 5 different dials on it, so you can dial in which spray that you like. 1 is for high output, 2 is for standard, 3 is for low contrast, 4 is for vertical fan, and 5 is for horizontal fan. There's also a locking feature on it in case you have small children around. So we're going to be using the dark taupe. I thought that would pair nicely with the base color that we have here. So we also have our original can of spray paint, which is the Painter's Touch, the Rust-Oleum in Fossil. Next we have 3 small bottles of acrylic paint that I picked up at my local Michael's. This is Fog Gray, and I have Suede, and then I have Tan. I also have 2 small paint brushes, a sponge, my gloves, and a mask. Okay y'all, so here we go. Okay everyone, so as you can see, I've gone in with the dark taupe spray paint and I've just spray painted all the little cracks and crevices and nooks and crannies all over the fountain, including the lion's face and mane. Now the reason that I decided to do that is because I want to get the dark inside the nooks and crannies, and if I would have used a paintbrush, it probably would have taken all day. With that being said, now we're going to move on to the second step, which I'll begin to kind of do a little sponge work. And like I said, it's a little back and forth with sponges and with paintbrushes. So let's see what happens. Let's get after it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our acrylic paint in the color Suede, and we're just going to pour a little bit more of this onto the plate. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our sponge and we're just going to lightly dab that, as you can see, hopefully. And we're going to come right in and just begin to work this in. And you just want to spread this around. And since we have spray painted the dark, it's going to leave the dark in the crevices. And that's exactly the look that I was going after. And this is what begins to give this character and life. So next we're going to go ahead and do the lion's face. And again, we don't want to gob the paint on here. We just want to go through and lightly tap it. Just lightly. Because we don't want to cover up all the nooks and crannies. We just want to get some highlighter on here to begin to bring out the features of the lion, because that's the focal point of the fountain. So everything that's raised is what will be highlighted. I'm going to start with his mane and then work my way in. Okay, so we're just using the fossil again. And so I've gone in with the color suede, and that is what I sponged with over the dark. And now I'm going back in with the fossil. And again, this is like a painting. You kind of have to layer it. So we're just gonna go in and just kind of soften areas. And so the fossil is the original color that we used over the whole thing. And then remember, we went back in with the dark taupe and sprayed in all the cracks and crevices. We've allowed that to all dry, and now we're going back in with the fossil. And the fossil just kind of adds a little more depth. It's just another feature. It's not a big contrast with the suede, but it's just enough to contrast it. And this is going to be a really light coat. I am thrilled with the results of it, and I hope that you're able to see all the detail and all the steps that I've taken to bring this fountain back to life. Like I said, it's a key feature in my garden down on the stamped concrete patio. I hope I was able to inspire you in some way for you to get out in your garden and refurbish any old fountain that you may have. I'm going to give you a close-up here in just a bit and show you all the detail. Okay, everyone, here's the moment of truth. Okay, everyone, let's see what we have. I've got the fountain back in its home. Oh, wow, and there you are. Finally, it's all repurposed and redone. This is on the stamped concrete patio here. And it's just nestled back in between these two birch trees and the Chenda viburnums, and I have these two ivy topiaries. Please don't forget to leave me your comments and let me know what you think about the fountain, about the details. Tell me what you think about the color choices that I used. Okay, everyone, so that's going to do it for the fountain project here. If you've liked this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it helps me to grow my channel and continue to bring you content. And from my garden to yours, we will see you in the next video.